today. And why am I so happy today, guys? Money cannot buy happiness, but a broken pocketbook cannot take you to the supermarket. So today we are going to talk about how to gain financial freedom in your career. This video is in no way providing financial advice because I am not a practicing financial analyst. I am giving you some strategies and tips of how I became debt-free for all of my life and gained financial freedom. Career goals cannot be separated from your financial goals because your financial goals are your life goals and your career goals are your life goals. This is an exciting topic, so let us get to it. For the best career advice, subscribe to my channel. Click the subscribe button and you'll be notified when I post new videos every week. Hello goal-inspired professionals, welcome to my channel. My name is Yvonne Robinson, your career strategist and business coach, and I'm here to guide you through your career journey to be successful and build a rewarding career. At the end of this video, you're going to know my 3-step process to financial greatness to build a life with zero or no debt. This is called my Career Professional Financial Freedom Blueprint. So here's on the screen. You create a runway or an emergency fund, you pay off your debt, and you invest and create a retirement fund. But Yvonne, I have debt. Or I haven't started working, Yvonne. I have debt. I just left school. Or I just migrated to Canada or to the United States. I have debt. I just paid to get here. How can I have no debt? This is a long-term strategy. It is not an overnight strategy. But you need to start somewhere and you need to start making some smart goals, putting some smart goals in a plan together. So you select your own time frame, okay? And you set your SMART goals. They must be specific, they must be measurable, achievable, they must be realistic, and they must be time bound. So you're going to set specific goals relating to your resource pool and your own time frame, but you're going to have a plan. This is the same strategy I have implemented since I started working my first dollar. Okay, so it can be done, but you are going to set up a plan. So you're going to create a runway, you're going to pay off all your debt, and you're going to build a retirement fund. First of all, spreadsheets are my best friend. I always have my spreadsheet. So you're going to build your spreadsheet with your income and your expenses, and that is going to be the basis of your runway. Okay, and you're also going to build a spreadsheet for your debt. So you're going to have 2 spreadsheets. So let us talk about creating your runway. Okay, and what is a runway? I'm going to put it up on the screen so you read with me. A runway is an emergency fund. The rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months of saving for an emergency fund. The emergency fund is to cover you for 6 months period of time if you get laid off or if you get unemployed. This isn't invested in any institution, right? So you don't invest it in any institution, so you have your risk of losing it. So let us look at your income and expenses. We're going to look at 6 months, and just let us take a look at it on the screen. So at the top, you're going to have your months, okay, and down the side in the column, the first column down, you're going to have your income line items, and then below that you have your expense line items. And what you need to do is leave a few lines for income from other sources, right? So you're going to add up all your income that you're sure of that you're making throughout the year, unless you can forecast some other income then from other sources, then you'd put that in columns below. And then when you add that up, then you add up all the expenses that are recurring expenses. For example, you will have your utilities, you'll have your cell phone, which is a necessity, okay, and you will also have things I would put there also, like my mortgage, and I would put my rent if you have rent, and I would put any interest that you have to pay on, any fixed interest that you have to pay. So all those expenses that you must pay, you have to add them up down there. At the bottom, you're going to take away the expenses from the income and get a net income line below. And if you look, you will see your net income line below going straight across. That could be savings for all those months, right? All those expense items that you have listed and total in the total expenses area will be your runway. So if you total those 6 months of expenses, you know you need that total amount of money for 6 months. Okay, that is the total you're gonna need to save for 6 months in case you lose your job or in case you something happens and you cannot work. So that is your runway. Your runway is a total amount of expenses that you must carry for 6 months in case you don't have a job. If you look at this runway, you will see that you will need $14,553 in order to survive for 6 months if you were not working. However, we're going to take a look at the fact that right now we are starving because we didn't add in any money for food. So let us assume that your food expenses each month is $500, right? And you might need a little bit of money for miscellaneous, but this is bare bones. So let us say $500. So 5, 6 is 30. That would be $3,000. You would need an additional $3,000 to add to that $14,000+, right? So let us say around $18,000. You need around $18,000 to survive for 6 months if you get laid off. Make sure you have the $18,000 set aside. So that is your runway. So first thing you do, you create a runway. And the reason why you would like to create a runway is because you don't want to start getting into debt. So when you have money, you should create a runway. So if you take another look at my spreadsheet, what you will see on that spreadsheet is that I have a running brought forward column at the top. So every month when I calculate the income, let's say expenses, and there's a balance, pretend that you are not putting it in the bank. Okay, you're going to have a running balance. That means that that's the money that you can save every month and do other things with. So if you take that number and you carry it across for, so you were just doing it for the 12 months to see at the end of the year how much money you could save. So now you know whether we have money or we have no money. And based on what we have here, it appears that we have over $16,000 after we take for the year, if we were doing it for the year, after we take off our, put our income and take off our expenses. So you can see, if you have a steady job, you can see at the end of the year what you could be saving. And you're planning to stay in your job, right? So right now you can know how much money you can save for this year. You can make a plan that way. So that is the best way to plan for your income and expenses. And as I say, from this same sheet, you're able to determine your runway. So let's take the situation where you have your income unless you're expensive and you're getting 0 or a minus at the bottom. Then you know you're in serious trouble. You know what to do. You know you might have to go find a little extra job for it for the time being. So the side hustle could be the money that you make to invest. You guys, you're only doing it for a short time, right? Because if your job is not paying you well, then you know at some point you're going to have to get a better job. But while you have that job that is not paying you well, it's not a bad thing if you had to take on a side hustle. But you plan for the period of time where you're going to do the side hustle. You're not going to do a side hustle for all your life, okay? But this is the best way to do it. Spreadsheets are great. You should learn to use spreadsheets, and you map out your income and your expenses on spreadsheet, determine your runway, and determine how much money you have left over in order to do an investment. So the next thing, guys, we're going to talk about how to pay off your debt. Yes, having debt is not the status quo, okay? You should try to pay off your debt. A sum of money that is owed or that is due. That is debt. If you owe money, it's a debt. If the money becomes due, it's a debt. So we are going to pay off those debts. And how we are going to pay off the debts? So we're going to determine that. Now, I'm going to have a little bit of myth buster right here. And I know some people are not going to agree with me, but I want to find out, do you think your mortgage is a debt? That's a good question. So if debt is a sum of money that is owed or due, is your mortgage a debt? Or is it an investment? So let us look at the definition of an investment. All right. The purchase of goods that are not consumed today, but are used in the future to create wealth. The asset will provide income in the future or will later be sold at a higher price for a profit. So is your mortgage a debt or is it an investment? That is what you need to do to determine if your mortgage is a debt or if it is an investment. And if it is a debt, you have to determine whether you're going to keep that mortgage or you're going to pay the mortgage off. So let us look at our little analysis here. So before I go further, I need to determine what some good debts are or some bad kind of debts are. Some debts that we call consumption debts. A mortgage could be a good debt because you have to live somewhere, right? So I'm not going to say mortgages are bad or you should not have mortgages, you should go pay rent. That is not going to be for me to determine right now. What you need to do, you make your own analysis, right? Personally, I don't like to pay rent. I don't like to rent or lease anything. I like to pay it off. I like to have things of my own so that I don't owe anybody anything. But if you think about your mortgage, if you plan to live in your house for all of your life, your mortgage is not an investment. And you can consider it as a debt. And if you could find maybe rental somewhere cheaper than what you're paying for your mortgage, maybe it's better to rent. However, if you're like me, I like to own my house. So I like to, even though I don't consider my house as an investment, but I'm enjoying it, right? But I'm not going to pump too much money in there wherein later on I will need that money. So I have to have balance, right? So you're not going to do the craziest thing and get the craziest craze. If you don't plan to sell it in the future, you're going to need the money. You're better off keeping things simple so that you can have your investment to live off in the future, because your house in that case will not be an investment. All right. So I don't want anybody badger me and tell me that, Yvonne, you said I should sell my house. Why are you telling me to sell my house? No, I'm not selling my house because I do the analysis and I like to own my house and I don't consider it an investment, but I consider it something to enjoy. So I have a 3-point analysis here of 3 things to consider about your house. Okay. So let us look at them. If you have no intention of selling your house in your lifetime, it is not an investment. Paid off. However, if your mortgage rate is below the inflation rate and below the return you would get from investing your cash, keep the mortgage. If you are not disciplined enough, and if you're going to use the disposable income, the extra income saved, guys, from paying off your house on consumption items, keep the mortgage. So we're clear now, right? A mortgage can be a good debt. So in that case, your mortgage is a good debt. But you can only say it's an investment if you're planning to sell it later on, to make some money off it, okay? Are we clear now? Wonderful. So let's keep going. So comment below and let me know what you think, because this could be a very controversial one, guys. And I would love to get the interaction here. Is your mortgage a debt? It's not a debt. Is your house an investment? Is it not an investment? Oh, wow. What did Yvonne just say? So comment below and let me know, okay? I'm waiting to see those comments and I'm going to respond to everybody individually because I'm really excited to see what you have to say. So I'm still on the mortgage thing. One more little thing. When I realized that that mortgage was a bad deal. So is my mortgage a bad deal? When I bought my first house. I bought my first house, I think at the time it probably was 200 and something thousand dollars. It was a townhouse. I was living in Jamaica, in Graham Heights. Nice place, but I bought this house and I was at the time young. Right? I was not 30 yet. I was 20 something. And I did my number because I love numbers. So I did a calculation and just let us say my house was $250,000. And you know, when you're young, you take the longest period of time, you take the 30-year mortgage. So let us look on the screen to see what shocked me. I put my 250,000 and I cannot remember what the interest rate was at the time, but it was high. And I'm assuming at the time it was more than 10%, but let me say it was 10%. And I found that in 30 years, I would have paid over almost $800,000 for the house. And I'm like, I buy a house for $250,000 and I'm going to pay almost $1 million for it? There's no way, Jose. So I proceeded to pay down the mortgage. And trust me, 10%, like those days in Jamaica, 10%, those are the high interest rates that we used to pay. I think they still do pay high interest rates in Jamaica, but 10%, but 30 years, I still have a house, but I paid almost $800,000 million. That's not cool. So I felt that a mortgage was a bad deal. So instead of renting, I proceeded to pay off the mortgage. We talked about income and expenses. We talked about creating our runway. And we haven't talked about paying off the debt yet and how we're going to pay off those debts, right? But we talked about, I wanted to clear up whether you thought a mortgage was a debt or it wasn't a debt, or if it's a good deal or a bad deal. Now you know how I feel about that, right? Mortgages are good, right? Because you live in a nice house and all that. But this is just my critical analysis, my overall analysis of what I think. And that drives my behavior and that drives my saving behavior. I'm as aggressive at my saving as how I'm aggressive at building my career. My strategy for my saving and my financial well-being is as aggressive as my career strategy. I want to be the best I want to be. I want to be the best in my financial goals, etc. That is what dictates how I view financial growth and everything else, as you can see on this channel. So I have 3 schools of thought for you. 3 schools of thought on debt paying, right? I have debt consolidation. I have debt knockout, lowest cost approach, and debt knockout feel good approach. Wow, feel good. All right. That sounds good. Let us set up our debt, right? We're going to talk about 3 debts. And if you look on the screen, I use a debt calculator. I just went on the internet and found one from calculator.net. I've been using it. It's a nice little website where you have all these mortgage calculators, debt calculators and all that. So I just got some figures here and and I'm assuming that I'm a new grad and I have a student loan, right? Of $30,000 and I'm paying 5%. I don't know. I just chose a figure, but I think can't be more than 5%, and they're going to give me 20 years. And then the credit card now, oh, I did that credit card, okay, and I have $7,000, a young person just leaving school, 18, what did I do? 19%. And a car loan, because I have to drive a car because my job is miles away, so I figure I just throw a car loan in there and say the young person has $5,000 loan at 4%. No car costs $5,000 anyway, so I suppose that that number would be higher, right? It could be 2%. As you reduce your debt, you will find that you have more disposable income. So the idea is to try to reduce your debt. But there are 3 schools of thought. As I said, there's a consolidation approach. So let us look at the loan consolidation. And I would say that 37 and 5, the 3 loans together would be about $42,000, right? 30 and 7, 5. Yeah, 37 and 5, 42. And what we would do is to go to an institution, a financial institution, talk to them and see if they can give you an interest rate that is small. Let's say they were to take over those loans at 5 or 6%, we could probably say 6%, right? So let us look at how we could analyze these debts for consolidation, okay? 3 loans. Loan 1, student loan, $30,000, 5% for 20 years, okay? Payment every month, $197.99. Total of 240 payments, $47,516, and total interest of $17,516. Loan 2, credit card, $7,000 for 20 years, interest rate of 19%, bad deal. Pay $113 every month. Total payments, $27,000. Total interest is $20,000. Then the loan 3 is the car. 2 years they're giving you $5,000 to pay that $5,000, $217 a month. 24 payments, $5,210.99. And $210.99 is your total interest. That is the one with the lowest interest, right? So if you have credit card debt, you must pay it off first. That is the whole thing about this one. Pay your credit card debt first. Because for that credit card, you only owe them $7,000 and you're going to end up paying $27,000, right? So that's a very bad deal. So let us look at the debt consolidation. $42,000 at 6%, if we get 6% for 10 years. Every month you'll be paying $466. You could add that to your spreadsheet of under expenses as a debt, right? Total of 120 payments, because we're going to do it for 10 years. We're going to try to get rid of this debt. So your total payments will be $55,954. That means you pay them a total interest of $13,954.33. And it means that instead of paying an interest of $38,000, you paid $13,000 plus dollars. And in that, just consolidating your debt, you are saving $24,000 plus dollars. And there are more juicy parts to come, okay? So that is a consolidation. And what about the debt knockout? Debt knockout, low cost approach. It's simple that you're going to knock out the debt with the higher interest rate first. It is usually the credit card debt. So what you can do, as I said, knock that one out first. If you don't get a chance to consolidate, you try to knock that one out. But you would have done your amortizations and you would have known how much you need to pay per month, right? You can vary those time frames in the calculator and decide what you want to do, how fast you want to knock that one out. So your debt knockout is a low cost approach. That's the one, pay off the debt. But then there's a debt knockout, feel good approach, okay? Feel good. The debt knockout feel good approach means that you pay off the debt you can pay off quicker, and then you're saying to yourself, I only have 2 debts. Right now we have 3 debts, and then you could say, feel good, oh, I have 2 debts. So if you look at the debt knockout approach, your car loan probably will be the first debt to knock out. And after you finish paying off the car, you say, oh, yay, I paid off my car. And I only have the credit card and the student loan. But if I were to do this approach, I'm not a feel-good person. I'm a practical person. I want to see that money go down, girls and guys. So I would do the debt knockout, low-cost approach, okay? So you can choose which approach you want to do. Are you going to knock out? What are you going to knock out? Are you going to knock out lower? Or are you going to knock out feel good? All right? So you determine the type of person you are and what you want to do. But this is a good approach to start getting rid of those debts. Okay, guys? And yay! I reached a good part. The investment portion. The investment. We're going to invest some money. But then you're saying, oh, I'm only 24. I just leave university. I'm only 25, Yvonne. I'm young. I have enough time to save money. Plus, if you live in Canada, you might be saying, plus I live in Canada and we have government. What? You have government? All right, let us look at government, okay? Take a look at my screen. I got this straight out of CRA, and if the figures become stale by the time it gets to you, there's a website. You can go check it out, okay? So at the time I'm doing this video, I went to CRA website. So let us take a look. www.cra.ca gives you the total amount of money you'll get as a pension. And let's take a look at the board here. For 2019, the maximum monthly amount you could receive as a new recipient starting the pension at age 65 is $1,154.58. The average monthly amount is $679.16. And if you don't have an income at all, you might be able to get the OAS. So let us look at the OAS. Your old age security pension amount is determined by how long after 18 years you have lived in Canada. If you have lived in Canada for 40 years after the age of 18, the maximum OAS is $613.53. So let us take another look at the screen and assume that you get the average. Assuming that you get the max, most people don't, but say you receive $679 plus the $613, that is $1,292 a month. You may not be able to live off $1,200, right? Depends. If you have a mortgage, remember we talked about getting rid of that mortgage? If you have a mortgage or if you have rent to pay, you will not be able to live off $1,200, guys, okay? And if you consider that the 65 is the new 55, some of us may be living longer than 90, right? So you live another 30 years. Are you prepared to live for another 30 years on $1,200 after you turn 65? I don't think so. So that is why we're talking about retirement from you are young, right? I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not giving any financial advice tips, but these are hacks, guys, that you need to put in place from very early so that you can gain financial freedom. So guys, how are you going to know how much you're going to save? How much you can invest? Remember, our spreadsheet is our tool that we are going to use to determine everything. And if you go back to the spreadsheet that I did, I can put it back up on the screen. Okay, where we had our at the end of the year, we discovered that we were going to have $16,000 left over. That's for the first year, right? So if you were to even take off your $14,000 and put it aside for your emergency fund, and because you start out, I would probably say instead of doing a 6-month emergency fund or a runway, you could do 3-month runway. And hoping that because you have some experience, you're going to get a job in 3 months and so on, and you have your 3-month runway, then you could always put away $7,000 out of that $14,000. So instead of having to have that money just sitting around like that, right? So we have our $16,000. Right? 14 was supposed to be our runway, but say 7 was only our runway. You still have $9,000. You have between $2,000 and $9,000 to save, guys. Between $2,000 and $9,000 to save. And some people are going to say it doesn't even make sense, Yvonne, because interest rates are down. Where am I going to put my money? Stock markets are so vulnerable. Well, I'm not a financial advisor. But you're better off saving something than saving nothing. And if you're very risk averse, so we're going to go to that, your financial strategy is going to depend on your risk profile. So first of all, you have to determine that what is your risk profile, right? If you are risk averse, if you can take losses, guys, don't put your money in the most risky place. And then when everything goes down, you're walking around tying up your head like a madman or a mad woman and say, I lost my money. If you cannot tolerate risk, there are other ways of saving your money. But don't let that determine the fact that you're risk averse or the market is volatile or things are happening make you spend all the money and don't save any money. Because even if you go to direct GICs, guys, and right now the best rate you could probably get is 1.5%, but there was time like up until last year and the year before where you could get 3% or 5%. Just thinking about the art of compounding. So From I started working, I'm going to tell you a little bit of my secret. From I started working, hush, 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 I put my money away and I don't touch them for 5 years. And I let them compound. And guess what? At the end of the 5 years, and every 5 years, you'll find that your life becomes better and you can save more. So you're never really touching that money. And at the end of the 5 years, it looks so good. You don't want to touch it. And you keep putting more and you keep putting more. It's habit, guys. The art of compounding. Talk to your banker. The art of compounding is the best. Even in low times, your capital is secure. Even if you put away your money right now at 1.5 on a GIC, you're still gonna make some money, and at the end of the day, you still have your principal. And this is not to tell you where and how and when and what to invest in and how to invest your money, or even tell you what your risk profile is. This is to tell you that you should have a habit of investing, because I know that a lot of my friends, they follow their friends and they buy this and they buy that and they have to have their coffee every morning. You know, coffee a morning is $2 and 2 5's 10. That's $10. That's $40 a month. That 12's 48. That's $480 a year. I need say any more, guys. I just told you that you cannot look at the little parts now. This is the time when you look at the big elephant, right? Not the little piece. You look at the big picture, not the little picture. Okay, so I'm not here to lecture you and tell you how to run your life, but I'm telling you that when you reach my age, if you have financial freedom and if you don't have a mortgage, trust me, you're really feeling good. That's why I started dancing at the beginning of the video, because I have to tell you, I'm happy. I'm really happy because I don't have those burdens, right? So I am telling my community and the people, the young people who are watching my video, all those people I brought here from LinkedIn who like me and who have helped in their career and who have given them advice all the time, I'm telling you, it's a good thing to practice financial freedom. Okay, and you start early. Don't wait until you're 70. Start when you are in your early 20s and when you just leave university or high school. As I said, I'm not telling you where to invest your money, but you know, if you can go talk to your credit unions, you can go and talk to your bank, you can sit down, you can analyze it and determine what you're going to do. But if you look on the screen, I have a little exercise here for you. So we're going to look at, we're still looking at our calculator. We're still using our calculator. And on the screen, I'm going to show you my little investment that I worked out here. 5% interest rate, initial investment of $500, and every month you put in $500. And I did a 20-year, and don't laugh at me because some people say 20 years, Yvonne. Yeah, 20 years, because as you wink, guys, I just came to Canada and it's already 20 years, okay? As you wink, 20 years is gone, right? All those of my immigrants who are coming here, you're going to see how fast 5 years go. You're going to see how fast 10 years go. You're going to see how fast 20 years go. Honestly, trust me, ask me. I've been there, okay? So in 20 years, if you do this little investment, you would have $204,000, 228, right? And the over the period of time, and your interest is on the other side with the 83,728. That's the interest that you made over the period of time. You might say it's 20 years, but guys, if you use the money, if you took it to the store, if you took it to the online shop, right? It was only $500 a month, so that's easy to go to a store. That's easy to go to the online shop, right? It's only $500. You know, I love to do Zumba. I could buy a lot of Zumba clothes with that. Yeah? And I get 2 pants, and I'll get a hoodie, and I'd get about 2 tops, you know. And at Christmas, I could go down to Tanger, and I could have bought maybe 3 Michael Kors purse with that, and that would be gone, right? But then when I'm 24 now, okay, so when I reach 44, I still have a little nest egg. You know, I still have a little $200,000. That's something, and it didn't affect my rent, it didn't affect my mortgage. That was my extras. So consider adding a little bit more up there. Consider calling it $1,000 instead of $500. Guys, you'd be on the right footing. So just listen to Mama Yvonne here. I know what I'm talking about, okay? So guys, do you think you can be debt free? Do you think you can be mortgage free? A big part of gaining financial freedom is to have a steady income. You're either going to start a business and have a steady income, or you're going to have a career and have a steady income. So this is the reason why I start at the top by saying financial goals and happiness goals and career goals are life goals. So are you just looking for a job, or are you looking to up level and be the best you can be into your career? If you are doing that, you are in the right place. And if you have not watched any of my other videos, you can watch some related videos, comprehensive job searching strategies to get the job, and how to get a job using LinkedIn. Winning resume that gets the job. Click on the link below to get access to my free career booster bundle. And if you like this video, subscribe, share with your friends and family, comment below and let me know what your biggest takeaway was. And I will see you in my next video.